Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is Joe Scarice, co-founder and co-host of the Creative Bird Strategies House and podcast here every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. Getting started here in the next few minutes. We're calling in live from Boston, Massachusetts at the NAR Realtor Expo. Very exciting, a lot of great energy here this morning. So we'll get started here in just a few minutes. Another great discussion we're going to have this morning is how to make sure you are underwriting total debt service with your real estate investment. So we'll get rocking and rolling here and start providing some great education, networking, and strategy. Hopefully, we'll get some great speakers and moderators in here this morning. Get started here in just a couple minutes. I'm just going to get started here with inviting some people in, and we'll get rocking and rolling. I want to thank our sponsors as well. I love to thank Lendmark Capital, your asset-based lender nationwide, providing DSCR, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, multifamily, and mixed use. We're also offering foreign national loans as well as blanket loans. So love to sit down and have an advisory discussion with you and providing insight and direction in your real estate portfolio. I'd like to thank Mr. Yardell Perkins of Perkatech, your social media architect and social media expert who provides all the back office to this great podcast and video work, social media work, website work, which you can check out our website, creativebirdstrategies.com. He designed that personally. I'd like to thank Ms. Linda Pelagas from Realty 411, who provides national events through her national publication called Realty 411. And I'd like also to thank MB Capital, where I'm a referral partner providing unsecured business lines of credit for real estate professionals nationwide. So we'll get here in just a few minutes. I'm trying to invite everybody in, make my thumbs work here on Clubhouse as quickly as possible. The discussion today, I think, is so vital more than ever. The people that I've been speaking with here at in Boston, Massachusetts, at the NAR Expo, they want to know about how to make money as a real estate investor. These agents are seeing the light. They're seeing that they have to jump in and play investor. With the whole NAR settlement, they know they control their own destiny in the sense of listings and buying and flipping, buying and renting. They know they have to create other forms of generational income wealth building with real estate. It's no longer just all about the sales. So it's very interesting perspective I've been having. A lot of great discussions. Probably met a couple hundred people here this weekend. You could hear the crowd in the background starting to come in. We're opening up over the next half hour. And I could tell you there's a lot more engaged conversations I've had with real estate agents here at this convention. I really do look forward to rolling into November into December when I'm down in Triple Play in Atlantic City as well. So let's get into some updated information that we had this week. Presidential election is crystal clear at this point. It looks like the Republican Party has nailed down the president position, Senate and House. How that reacts throughout the real estate industry, it'll be interesting to see how that plays catch up in a lot of the markets. Mortgage rates came down a tick, probably right below 7%. We're hovering around 6.92, and the Dow crushed it. I mean, Bitcoin, everything just like surged. So it's been a major eventful market this week. The 10-year Treasury moved down a little bit. The 5-year Treasury moved down a little bit. It'll be very interesting over the next couple of weeks as Trump starts picking his cabinet and speakers and things of that nature. It'll be very interesting how the market reacts and how the Fed reacts too. Some articles that caught my eye this past week. So opportunity zones in the housing market keeping pace with the nationwide price gains. Home affordability and low-income housing opportunities are still in abundance, meaning if you're going to play landlord, you have to look at Section 8 as a viable option to be able to cash flow on your properties. Can't just look at the market rents. I think Section 8 is going to be a very strong indicator of where migration will be on the rental space. So I've been monitoring that as well. That was one article that caught my eye, and I did post that up. And we're seeing some hot U.S. migration trends. Now, maybe post-election, you'll see some more trends moving around a little bit, but you're seeing some hot U.S. migration trends. I did put that article up as well. And then also one other article that caught my eye this week. Consumers are feeling better about the housing market despite higher home prices. So you're seeing the sentiment, the negative sentiment coming down a little. People are a little more relaxed. They're not getting barraged by advertisements and text messages, and they can get there's some form of normalcy at this point. Good things there on that vibe. So let's dive into our discussion this morning. How to make sure you are underwriting the total debt service coverage ratio on your real estate investment. To ensure accurately underwriting total debt service coverage ratio, DSCR, on a real estate investment, it's essential to take a structured approach to both project income and expenses. Consistently evaluate different financing structures. DSCR is a measure of the property's ability to cover its debt obligations from net operating income, and is crucial for assessing financial stability and lender eligibility. I'm going to break a couple of these things down. You need to be able to understand how to calculate projected net operating income. FYI, I provide all these worksheets for anybody that's willing to request them via email. I will send them out to you, and I will take the time to go over with you. We'll also have to determine what your debt service costs are. Okay, monthly mortgage payment and other debts. You got to take that into account. And you have to calculate debt service. We provided debt service coverage ratio. The magic number to be really strong is 1.2 or better. Most lenders, including myself, will go as low as 0.80, but it will be credit related, asset related, LTV related, and also loan amount related. Then you need to learn how to stress test the debt service, income variability, interest rate change, expense inflation. You have to factor in capital expenditure, CapEx. What is CapEx? Unexpected costs and enhances long-term profitability. You need to understand your operating expenses. You need to also, when you're doing debt service, you need to take everything into account. The lenders are not taking property management into account, vacancy, deferred maintenance. These are things you need to account for on your side to make sure the unit is profitable. Consult with a lender or industry expert to understand what debt service looks like in that market. What are the rental values in that market? What are the market rents? An appraiser knows what market rents are in that area. You need to understand those, as well as a good, solid, investor-friendly realtor. Consistently applying these steps can improve the accuracy of your DSCR underwriting, managing investment risk, and position your property as an attractive financeable asset. You need to be able to underwrite these deals. We're providing these worksheets for you to be a better real estate investor, a better real estate professional. Good morning, Linda. Welcome. Ladies first, of course. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning, how to make sure you're underwriting total debt service on a real estate scenario.
House investors. Hope everyone is doing great this morning. My name is Linda Pliagas, and I'm the owner of Realty411.com. We're a news and information website for real estate investors. And I'm also a licensed real estate agent and an accredited investor. Now, in regards to UWDSCR, which stands for Underwritten Debt Service Coverage Ratio, it compares the underwritten net cash flow of the mortgage property, to the amortized principal and interest payments of the related mortgage loan. A DSCR of less than 1.0 indicates that the income is not enough to cover the mortgage payments. A DSCR of more than 1.0 indicates that the loan payments can be covered with cash left over. Now, a higher DSCR is generally considered healthier and more successful. Some of the ways to make a deal work and improve your debt coverage ratio are, the most obvious is, of course, to put a larger down payment if needed, which I know can be very difficult for some investors. So another thing you can do is bring on a partner to help with an increase in capital. Also, I've known a lot of investors who go ahead and purchase the property, then they'll create additional income streams, maybe by adding um, washer dryer, laundry facility. Maybe they'll add vending machines. Maybe they'll start um, billing the tenants for utilities or water. These are some methods that they'll use to increase the income. Then they'll trim the expenses. Once they do that and their debt coverage ratio is much stronger, then they will refinance the asset again to improve their financial position on the property. So these are my thoughts on the topic of today. Thank you so much for inviting me, Joseph. Back to you.
Linda, thank you. You know, you brought up some good points here, and I'm going to tie it into a discussion I had yesterday with a client that came by the table. She was looking at a 3 unit in the Boston, Massachusetts area. Um, 950 or 900 was the purchase price. I said, listen, you want to try to get it a little less. You want to ask for 2% sellers. As she's like, what's that? That's assist toward the closing costs off based on the purchase price. So, I was educating her. I said, listen, you want to go in a little lower. You don't want to go in a little higher, but let's work the numbers based on 950. We ran the numbers and it was making like 1.5 on the debt service coverage ratio. It's at 30% down. I'm like, listen, you really want to you want to make money when you buy. You're not doing anybody any favors. You want to try to go start at 875, 2% seller assist, and kind of work your way up. Don't give it all away. I mean, there's a unique opportunity here. It's a long-term hold for you. You have the money, but listen, you want to make the most amount of money when you buy the property. So at 30% down, she was at 6.875 on a rate on a 30-year. Really good rate. And I told her that rate's going to point down over the next couple months or next couple weeks, maybe about another quarter. I said, if you put the 25% down, I mean, there's only about a half a point difference, and your debt service is only off by, I mean, you're at 1.5, you're probably 1.43, but you got more money in your pocket. And if you can get the 2% seller assist on wherever you land on the purchase price, you're getting ahead of the game a little bit. And you're already walking into an income producing property. So she's going to go in at 875, even though they're asking 950. It's been on the market for a good month, which is not common in the market she's in, which is called Norwood. And I think there'll be an opportunity for her. She'll get it somewhere between 875 and 925 with 2% seller assist. Her debt service will be around 1.45 to 1.5. And then obviously she's making money when she buys. She's cash flowing. She's not looking to do a heavy renovation. She wants to just maintain and keep moving forward. It's a strong B market. She doesn't want to go into she doesn't want to be a Section 8 landlord. She wants to be more turnkey. She might even try to manage it herself for a little while. I said that's not always a smart thing because you're going to take it very personal. But you got to keep in mind management, maintenance, utilities, which is common area maintenance, vacancy rate, and repairs. The formula that I provide to everybody, the understanding debt service coverage ratio, breaks this down, takes everything into account. A lender doesn't always do that. So you have to take the time in calculating your numbers for yourself, understanding what the market rents are, understanding what the market value is, speaking with professionals in that market and in that field. And you have to respect the fact that you're going to get a independent appraiser to come in and evaluate not just the market rent but also the appraisal value. So if she puts an offer at 875 and they agree somewhere between 875 and 900, but it appraises at 925 or 930, she's making money when she buys. And that's the key to accomplishing really good underwriting in the debt service space. Stephen, good morning and welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning, how to make sure your underwriting is total debt service on the next real estate scenario. Stephen going once. I think he needed to do something. So we'll go to Justin. Justin, good morning and welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning on underwriting total debt service on your next real estate scenario. Justin, you there? All right, go right ahead. You're breaking up a little bit. Yep. So to the top. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate that insight. I'm going to tie into that real quick too, as well. It's Joe Scarice, founder, co-founder, and co-host of the Creative Birth Strategy House, calling here in from Boston, Massachusetts, at the NAR Realtor Expo. So if there's a little background noise, I apologize, but got to do what I got to do here. So, one thing that I heard from you is something that people do not focus on enough is the deferred maintenance of a property. They blame it all on the property manager and never blame it on themselves. I'm it's hard to believe that the property manager is at 100% fault of your miscalculations of deferred maintenance on a property. You need to calculate a certain amount of money every month and put that away instead of putting it into your pocket when that water heater goes or when the floor starts getting warped in the corner or the kitchen starts having issues. Like, why aren't you taking care of the escrow of monies. Why are you depending on the property management? Being proactive instead of reactive in real estate investing is so important. Don't wait for something to happen. Be prepared for something to happen. This is going to impact your cash on cash return over time if you, one, procrastinate on repairs, but two, don't escrow for repairs for future impact to that property. Like you're telling me nothing's ever going to break down? I mean, like, how ridiculous is that? If that's how you're going to go into understanding it, cash flow and debt service coverage ratio on a subject investment property, you will fail from day one because you're not doing the proper accounting. Don't blame it on the property management company. They're just managing or babysitting your property for you. If you don't have the right money aside for the what ifs, all you're doing is putting yourself into jeopardy, putting yourself in a potential foreclosure environment, and chasing the carrot for the next 10 years on a deal. I never surprises me when, hey man, hey, do you have money to take care of this repairs? Oh no. Well, what did you do with that 500 a month that you were putting in your pocket for the last 2 years? Well, I put it in my pocket and I spent it on other things, on other properties. Well, then how is it the property management's fault? But it's so easy to blame somebody else instead of yourself, right? You need to escrow your money. You can't expect the property management company to take it on the arm and do these repairs in emergency type of level and not get paid. It just doesn't work that way. And it boggles my mind that, we go over this on the worksheets: property management fee, deferred maintenance fee, vacancy fee, common area maintenance fee. Are you escrowing that money separately outside your rent collection and profitability to your property? I'm asking you that, and I want you to think about it. If you're not saying yes, and I don't have an escrow account with a couple $1,000s that I've accumulated over the last 12 months of rent collection toward common area maintenance or deferred maintenance or vacancy, you're telling me your units are automatically going to be re-rented without any refurbishing of the unit, putting a fresh coat of paint, having a general inspection done, following somebody moving out? You're saying everything's just going to be fine? I just highly doubt that. You need to actually start escrowing accounts of monies toward the what ifs. And I think that's where investors fail more than succeed. They depend on everybody else but themselves, and then they blame everybody else but themselves. Travis, good morning and welcome. Brief overview: who you are, what you do, and the thoughts today on how to make sure you're underwriting total debt service on your real estate scenario, and how's that truffle butter? That's the big question of the morning.
That was so good. It's the first time I ever had a steak in my edge, and oh my gosh, so yummy. Good. Yeah. So I'm Travis. Not only do I love truffle butter on my steak, but I'm a real estate investor. I have a brokerage in Houston, and we do residential and commercial real estate. We help people buy their dream home. Yeah, Joe, 100%, man, on what you're talking about as far as blaming the property manager and people not putting aside the money. As somebody that manages property for other investors, I've turned down people to manage their property because they don't even have any cash up front. I'm like, look, your best bet is just to sell your house. Like, you don't have any money to take care of it now. What makes you think you're going to have money to take care of it, 2 years from now? You see unit breaks, or we get some rent, spend $3,000, or we have a pipe break or something. So, yeah, I agree, man. People have to be realistic. And what we do when we manage property is we inspect the properties every 4 months. We go through the homes and we create a very detailed inspection report with photos and everything. And we share that with the owner. I don't even know. Some people don't even look at that stuff. And when we find something that's going on with the house, of course it's reported. And sometimes, most of the time, we need the owner's permission to get things done, right? Because everybody has a limit in their management agreement on how much we can spend without the owner getting involved. But it's normally very low, maybe $300 to $500. You know, I started increasing mine up to $1,000 because just about everything's going to cost you about outside of major things like an AC unit. Um, but 100%, and you got to budget and keep cash, you know, in the account for those repairs because they're going to come. Um, and it really is going to, and how much you're going to spend is going to depend on how old the house is, right? So if you're buying properties that were built in the 30s, 40s, 50s that are on a crawl space, you know, and not too far from the downtown areas of the city, yeah, they're going to have a lot more maintenance and repairs than something that was built after the party plank was invented and put on all these properties where majority of the outside of your home is brick and hardy. It's not a lot to rot there. And just the wood around your doors and your garage doors, stuff like that. But yeah, if you're gonna buy a property, a duplex, triplex, whatever, and it's got a basement or it's on a crawl space and you got pipes underneath there, and you're gonna have a lot of maintenance. So I'm with you 100% there, Joe.
Travis, thank you for the insight. I mean, what am I missing with real estate investors today? Not putting 1,000 to the side with their property management company for the what ifs. As we all know, everything costs $1,000 to fix, right? I mean, is that where we're going to get to? I almost think that you should escrow $2,500 per property with a property management company. I mean that's aggressive, but you know what? You won't have to. And listen, you can carry that money over to the next year if nothing happens, right? I mean, how much does it cost to turn over a unit? And what's your average turn time for vacancy right now in Houston? Just brief example, like, okay, so they move out, and in a perfect world, there's some light turnover and some cleanup. You know, that's at least $500, right? And then you got to.
Clean the house, we're gonna go through and clean all the ductwork, make sure all the plumbing fixtures are working, test everything in the house, clean out all the P-traps. I mean, we go to town and make sure these houses are ready. So at least $1,500.
So,
Even a quick pay.
so that's 1,500 to turn over, and then $1,000 just for the what ifs during the time of the maintenance of the property while a tenant's living there. You burn through $2,500 in a 2 year turnaround with any given tenant.
Exactly. And then if we have to paint the inside, you know, we're going to spend about $2 a square foot to repaint the walls. So, you know, normal house, what, 1,500, 1,800 square feet, for $8,000 to repaint. And that's using the same color.
So in a perfect world, what you're telling me is, say the place makes the landlord $500 a month net profit, right? That's after all the escrows, and you put $2,500 in the account. You should be making money if that's what you're allocating. Like it boggles my mind when I talk to somebody who said, "Hey, you got 100 grand in the bank. Let's open up an unsecured business line of credit for 100,000, so you don't tap your $100,000 liquidity. So you have money for the what if, but you also escrow those percentage points off the gross rent collection. And if you're still making $500 a month, and you have $2,500 sitting per door with your property management company, you're covering yourself over the next 24 months of an average tenant staying in that unit. Am I correct?
Yeah, you would be. You know, and I think at least making $500 a month net, right? Plus they're paying down their principal, so they're making more than that if they actually looked at it on paper. Plus the depreciation, like the asset,
Yep.
And a decrease in their taxes. I mean, yeah, and they're making money.
It just shakes my head. You know, I meet so many people that have 700 plus scored, Travis, with an LLC and they own properties, and they claim they're not making money because they're probably not really sitting down with a bookkeeper and saying, how do I allocate these escrows and how much should I plan for the unforeseen? Nobody's having that honest conversation with a property management company. and they think they know debt service coverage ratio. They take a weekend workshop with somebody that flies in and sells them a workbook. But at the end of the day, that's just a piece of paper if you're not applying it correctly. So what like I could send all the worksheets out to as many people that ask for it, but do they actually apply it? And do they really understand what debt service really is to a lender? That's I see my more savvier investors, to be honest, they're putting anywhere between $1,500 to $2,500 away per property with their property management company. And they're also seriously escrowing vacancy and deferred maintenance separately and backing that out of their debt service coverage ratio and setting up accounts for it. I mean, they have multiple accounts for multiple per property. So I have a client that has 400 doors. He has an account for the rent collection. He has an account for the vacancy. He has an account for the deferred maintenance. And then he has anywhere, I think like somewhere $1,500 per door with the property management company. And he owns like almost 400 doors. It sounds like a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, he's actually making a lot of money and getting a lot of write-off.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Smart.
Well, and guess what? He's 21 years old. Yeah. So, you could start very young and just stay committed to this, or you could be one of those disgruntled landlords down the road being broke. And I think the more broke ones are not allocating correctly on cash return and the escrows for the elements of debt service coverage ratio, which remember, it's repairs, common area maintenance, it's deferred maintenance, it's utilities, it's vacancy. Vacancy is real in the city of Philadelphia. Average vacancy is 3 to 5 months. You're not making money for 3 to 5 months, but you're paying the mortgage still. So, any final thoughts, Travis, before we keep moving this train along?
Yeah, it's really in Houston too, man. I've got some that have been sitting now for 2 months at least, and they're not at that high a price point. So people aren't moving as much. It's definitely a different market than it was, just a couple of years ago.
Well, I think as we go into a new, a political group, both House, Senate, and President, I mean, we'll see some changes, but it's not going to be like overnight. It's going to be rainbows and peaches and cream. I mean, listen, there's still very serious inflationary issues, serious economic issues. Okay, we have a commercial reset coming one way or another. It's here, and it's going to keep happening. How that bleeds into the residential market and the small landlord and the institutional landlord is yet to fully see. I mean, we're kind of looking through a shower drape, and we really don't know how much impact this is going to be. But if you're not preparing yourself financially with properly debt servicing your property now, what happens if you have 5 more properties? And that's the concern I have. Thank you, Travis. So, what is debt service? Debt service indicates the amount of net cash flow available to pay the mortgage. Both real estate investors and lenders use debt service coverage ratio when analyzing rental property performance. Knowing how to calculate net operating income is key to accurately determining debt service coverage ratio. Debt service coverage ratio can increase or decrease from year to year. These are things you need to keep in consideration, okay? Amy, good morning and welcome. Thank you for your patience. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning, how to make sure you are underwriting the total debt service coverage ratio on your real estate scenario.
I'm Amy Palmetto. I am the chair of the U.S. Real estate technology, and we are real estate technology trade association in the U.S. Long-time real estate investor, been real estate investing since 2008. And before that, I was a general contractor. It was my construction company. We were building projects all across the U.S. Because at one point we were 16. So, and I'm also the reason why I became the chair of the U.S. Project Council is because I started my own prop tech company. So I went from away to the dark side. I went from real estate investing into tech. But it's okay. It's all good. I will always be a real estate investor. I don't think that will ever change. I'm just not doing as much real estate investing as I used to. All right. So talking about underwriting on your for DSCR, a lot of times, we all had a lot of the topics that we spot on. I think the other thing I could probably add to this would be your underwriting shouldn't be something that you do prior to closing the deal, right? It is just an exercise. If you're going to be a really good real estate investor, that underwriting what you did to actually acquire that deal, that should stay with you throughout the life of the deal. So what you should do is take that underwriting and then use that to manage. And you know what? If your budget is wrong, you learn for the next deal. So what you do is you take it and go, oh man, like I totally effed up on repairs and expenses for deal. So your underwriting really should be something that you learn from so that so you get better at it. Sometimes even the most experienced underwriters are going to screw up on something, right? But what they learn to do over time, as Judge is talking about, is you have contingency plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E. Like you always, there's going to be something unforeseen, something unknown. You walk into that house, no matter what was on that stupid seller's disclosure, you're going to have things that just pop up at you. And so you have to be really good at underwriting for all those unknowns. And even when you over time you learn to kind of fudge your numbers even. So inside the underwriting itself, you're looking at each line item. Somebody gives you a bid for whatever it is, say foundation repairs or whatever it is. You are tacking money on top of that. Right? You learn to do this over time because you just know that they'll come back at you with a change order, or they'll come back at you with, oh, we forgot to do this, and you're going to pay it because you want to get it done. You got to get a tenant in it, right? So I think that's a lot of it. But I would just say use that underwriting as a learning tool. Don't just do it once and then stick it in a drawer. Use it throughout the life of the investment. See how good you were at it. And in the beginning, you're going to suck. You're going to be completely horrible. And then, but you write down all the things that you missed on it. The next one, right? The next one. So, tell me what happened. Yeah.
So Amy, I know yeah. Amy, thank you for the exasperating comments while you're heavy breathing. I like it. All right. You sounded really passionate about the discussion. So let's tie this into prop tech. Where do you think prop tech is going to make up the difference for poor underwriting by a investor? Where can a lender help the investor realize they didn't underwrite their deal correctly in prop tech world?
There's a lot of tools coming out now that will provide you with not so much on the single family side, I haven't seen that yet, but on the commercial side, so if you're going into 5 units or more, those kinds of things, small family, there's tools out now that will take the rent roll, take the T12 that the buyer or the seller gives you, and they can perform an underwriting in about, I don't know, 2 minutes. Underwriting template, what it does for you now, it might not be how you would underwrite. They have some like standards of how people underwrite, but it gives you pretty much all the categories that you should be thinking of. That's what people forget. They'll forget a line item in underwriting, like, oh crap, we forgot to realize that we have to prepay the insurance for the year, right? And then we got to escrow for it throughout the year. So, things like that, that when you're a first-time investor, you don't realize that those are the things you have to do. Okay, on a property that's, say you're buying a 20-unit property and the insurance is, oh God forbid, like 50 grand or something, you have to front load that money. That 50 grand gets paid at closing, and then you're escrowing every month for that insurance, right? So that's what in my brain, 200, what is it? 2,000 bucks a month that's coming out. that you have to escrow for that you can't use for repairs and maintenance. So there's different things. So that's why when you're using those underwriting tools, especially for you, they're going to do that because they know that that's standard, right? And so you're going to have things like that that will help you. I think also understanding if you're using some sort of underwriting tool, what's happening now is a lot of them are getting integrated with the property management system. So that whole learning thing happens, like your budget and all that stuff shit pre-populated from your underwriting. That should happen today. There's just other things that you can be looking at, but there's real tools around, market selection and even self-market selection. So if you're like you don't have the luxury of investing in your own backyard, you have to go invest somewhere else. There are tools already out there that'll help you understand the dynamics of those markets. Now, I will always say you should get somebody that's local that you trust that can give you really good advice too, because it's AI and it's not the end all be all. But it can help you narrow down on certain markets that you want to target, right? So there is that. And I would think that over time with the DSCR loans, what's really going to happen, and what people always forget, is it depends on, number one, the term of your loan, but also the terms of your loan. So if you are not paying attention to the terms of that loan, like they might say, oh, for the first year, it's okay for your DSCR to come out of one. But later, you might have terms of your loan where it says your DSCR needs to be a 1.3 or 1.4 or whatever it might be. And if you forget it because you got the loan and you set the documents in a drawer, you don't really know where the hell they are. They're probably sitting at the title company. You have an obligation. And you need to make sure that they don't call a note on you when you leave the house that you're not, when they ask for later down the road, when the servicer comes and asks for, oh, hey, I need you to send us your financials for the year, and you've been violating the DSCR covenants of your loan, well, then you're in trouble, right? I mean, they'll work with you, they don't want to take it back, but you don't want to get there, right? So you want to take it out and not just everything that deal is required, but what is the lender asking of you? What is your insurance company asking of you? You will have an inspector, and there might be something that the insurance says, if you do not fix this driveway, we will pull your insurance. And if they do that, then your lenders, I mean, it's gonna get bad, right? So you gotta understand all that. There's a lot, Deja. That was
Man, you did that while going up a hill, man. I'm impressed. That's very impressive. I'll let you breathe for a few minutes. To add to what Amy was discussing, prop tech solutions for managing debt service coverage ratio have been on the rise, helping real estate investors streamline underwriting, improve accuracy, and make more informed financing decisions. Tech solution leverage automation, data analytics, and real-time reporting, optimizing cash flow management and debt service coverage ratio assessment, ultimately enhancing investment performance. There's a lot of automated financial analysis software out there. There's definitely market data platforms with DSCR benchmarking, underwriting and scenario analysis tools. I provide you a true pricing sizer to price your deals out right from the source. Okay, so if you need that help to better underwrite your deals, whether for yourself or your clients, you have to let me know so I can help you. Cash flow management and real-time debt service coverage ratio monitoring tools are very important in this day and time. In this tumultuous market, you really need to be a step ahead. And obviously, there's AI-driven loan qualification software, which I provide you software to see how it qualifies. And then and this is the thing, I don't take into account expense and capital expenditures, CapEx, but the debt service coverage ratio worksheet that's separately from my pricing sizer does, but you can add operating expenses in my pricing sizer just as an estimate to make sure you're covering yourself with management, common area maintenance, deferred maintenance, vacancy. And then you really want to understand rent and revenue management solutions. When choosing a DSCR focused prop tech solution, consider factors like the property's complexity, investment horizon, and the market's volatility. Most platforms also offer integrations with financial property management. I'll be going over to speak with Buildium in just a little bit. I'm hopefully going to be able to get them to come on here onto our call one of these weekends coming up in the immediate future. I'd love to have them on. We talk about them. I talk about that often. Is getting a property management software company on. I'm going to try to do that today. So we'll see how that goes. Allowing customized tech stacks that streamline underwriting and debt service coverage ratio monitoring. This is so important. You just don't realize. Enough people are not analyzing their properties correctly on the back end when they're doing a BRRRR. They think it's all going to kind of just pan itself out, and then they get pissed off where they can't get all their money back out on the refinance. That's not my fault. You miscalculated the repair costs. You didn't put any contingencies in for overages on your repair numbers. How is that suddenly the lender's fault? I mean, there's guidelines that we go by in the asset-based lending space. You shouldn't be cashing out more than 75% LTV. If it's rate and term, meaning no cash out back to you more than 2% of the loan amount, maybe we can get to 80%. But there's no guarantees, because then we have to concern ourselves with the over leveraging of the asset. What if the place goes vacant and it's a single family home and you're max leverage? Who's paying that mortgage if you have no money in your bank account? It's not going to be the bank. Banks can just take the property back. It's going to blight your credit potentially. You got to think about all this from a debt service coverage ratio perspective. You got to be a step ahead. There's some great opportunities out there, great markets, but if you don't plan accordingly, you'll put yourself in a really bad position. Steve, good morning and welcome. Thank you for your patience. Brief overview, who you are, what you're doing. Thoughts to are how to make sure you're underwriting total debt service coverage ratio on your next real estate scenario. Steve, are you there?
That's where I very so almost nothing feels right at that level. I go on stage, and that's the key. I'm really sort of projects you were talking about. You're just kind of for see more time, and I can say that we swear by the either burning it, if you're burning her, our company, but I mean, the underwriting is key. Creating your path, knowing your customers are going to be, that does not count. You don't have that. So you take out your rent, you take out your vacancy, you take out your estimate, take out your credit costs, and then you'll still survive. That is absolutely critical. And if you're behind, start look at the market, find someone not here's how life goes. But you have the end of something there. Somebody on DSCR, the reason we're 30% the biggest amendment, these don't reduce the 1930s. So we're going to cover up a lot of shades for the last couple of years. And when those shades don't go up, they get expensive. And it's funny, you mentioned something about, with banks that they see that run around this warehouse, they get because hey, bills are coming. He was providing he just kept pretty good over doing it. You have a month to correct all this. Not your payments are on time. We're taking the building if you don't correct the paperwork. You can't just ignore this. And if you're not paying, which I'm not, make sure your team or somebody on your team is watching those kinds of goals. But for me, underwriting is all about extremely overestimating the bad, underestimating the success, and then if it still works, it's a deal worth buying. Otherwise, I hope you have the cash flow to support yourself. If things don't go as planned. And honestly, your sizes and your other documents. Sometimes we're talking about contact, but your size and other documents really help clarify that.
Thank you, Steve. And Steve, how well do you need to know your property management company? How essential is it from an investment perspective to ask the right questions with the property management company. Like, what's some thoughts on that?
14 years ago, my wife, we're trying to operate open property management. We did it with one well-known person who's not state licensed. We didn't understand the importance of that. And one state licensed person. And they took an operation that was 2% vacant, 2% non-pay. And basically, we almost went bankrupt. And we went with the attitude of, oh, they're the biggest, strongest in the area. They know what they're doing, yada, yada, yada. And no, you have to know them. You have to know how they run their deals, how they run your operation. You have to watch very carefully what's in that property management agreement. We had a slip and fall case, and come to find out, we didn't know enough to look for this. In the property management agreement, we had to defend the man. They were supposed to be running our show, but we had to protect if they screwed up. You have to know that, and you also have to watch, like any other staff member or manager, you have to watch them and say, oh, well, I see that they're telling me this is their place. Well, first of all, let me go take a look and see if their place. And second of all, maybe not on every whatever. And second of all, was what we discovered they were doing, and they were, in addition to flipping repair estimates or flipping repair numbers and updating repairs, they were churning rents. They get the first month's rent. There was no rental guarantee saying that it must survive, whatever much. So we take the first month's rent, the other the first month's rent, and let's say they're being independent. And these things, we're not against their agreement. We just didn't know. And I've actually, one of the things I do to some of my other clients is let me take a look at what the people are offering you, just to throw some ideas as to what might need to be in there. And reputation matters, and reputation with the code officers, reputation with the judges. The other thing that there was one Dave Robico was this property manager for a very large company. And when we met with him, Dave was very honest. The truth is, this is why we didn't go with it, because I don't want to be necessary. If my girl gets a showing at your rental, and she gets a showing at a sale at the same time, I'm going to have her cancel the rental appointment and take the sale because we get more money. Not a great thing to hear. Very honest thing to hear. That's why in our management company, we have two companies. We have a rental management company and we have a sales company. They don't cross people. It is very important to know your property managers to make sure that they think the way you do. If the tenant wants the carpet replaced, is that a knee-jerk, of course, or is that, let's think about it? If the window breaks, I had one management client tell me, you don't have to fix the window if it breaks. I said, well, you don't have to have me as your manager. I mean, that's like, you have to make sure that they are standing behind delivering the product that you want to deliver. And that they are not bluffing your attorney, I guess would be the nice way of saying it. It's very key. And if they're not licensed and that's required if they run the red flag, if they are not licensed, do they have an error in the music law? Do they have the various protections? If Joe Schmo cannot just suddenly wake up in the state of Pennsylvania and be a property.
Great stuff, Steve. Thank you very much. Key factors to what Steve brought up: understanding local law and regulations. This is whether you're managing a property yourself or you're a property management responsible. Setting the right rent price, understanding the market rent, screening tenants effectively, just not sticking bodies in there, marketing the property correctly to the right demographic, creating a solid lease agreement and understanding the leasing laws in your market, collecting rent and managing finances, handling maintenance and repairs, regular property inspections, addressing tenant relations, preparing for vacancies, and understanding eviction procedures. Managing properties, balancing responsiveness, legal compliance, and effective tenant relationships. It can provide a greater control and potentially more profit, but it requires time, knowledge, and attention to detail. Justin, some final thoughts to our discussion this morning: how to make sure you are underwriting total debt to service coverage ratio on the real estate scenario. There you go, Justin. Some final thoughts? Justin, you there? Justin, you there? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Yes, I can.
stay in it for that. And most of it. He's placed it in a company. They have to understand that they need to speak it. Which is very important. I wrote down
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Justin. And Linda, your final thoughts to our discussion this morning, how to make sure you are underwriting total debt service coverage ratio on your next real estate scenario. Linda, going once. There you go.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. Yes, final thoughts. Make sure the numbers are accurate. The numbers that you're getting from the listing agent, these staples, make sure everything is accurate. Don't be afraid to offer less of the listing price, folks. Don't be afraid to offer substantially less. We don't want to default the seller, but at the same time, they want to be made out there. And I have made deals where I offer substantially less, and other people even offer more, but they choose me. Don't ask why, but I always do also when I put in an offer, I always include a letter with my offer to the seller, why they should choose me to sell their property to. And I think a lot of times I have won out deals, even though other people have offered more money. We have, we purchased the property and we were the ones that won because of the letter that I wrote explaining why I was the most, the best choice for them to sell their property to. So don't be afraid to try these techniques. They worked for me, and I encourage you to try them as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Travis, your final thoughts to how to make sure you are underwriting total debt service coverage ratio on your next real estate scenario. Travis?
I like this, what you said right there, but the place, which we were strictly warned about presenting letters to our sellers, especially during the COVID era, because it could be construed as discrimination. We want to sell to this person over this one because we like their story that they're telling us. So, as the listing agent, I would not present those letters to my sellers.
Did we lose Travis? Travis, I think we lost you. Travis, you want to come back in and let me know? Are you there now? Oh. Amy, your final thoughts to our discussion this morning, how to make sure you are in total underwriting debt service on the next real estate scenario.
Sure. So the other thing I would say is Stephen made a good point to Justin about your team. So a lot of people will, when you're underwriting a deal, will just put in like the market percentage for property management, right? But you can't do that. You should have like a really good idea of who your property manager is going to be doing, if not yourself. Right? So if you're going out of market, you want that property manager to help vet the property for you. You're gonna do that stuff. You're gonna want to. That's like one of your main people on your team, and you can be how much they charge you. Like, don't guess. That would be my parting thoughts. Don't just say anything. Get bids for everything. Don't just use, hey, I'm buying in Dallas. I bought in Dallas for a time because with inflation, the prices are the all of this, your labor shortages, taxes and things. So you can't get when you're right. You get hurt because you're the one holding the balance. At the end of the day, because you're the one that bought the property under your bad owner. So like already got still not helpful.
Lynn,
Just may I make a quick comment?
sure, go ahead.
I just want to make a quick comment about the letters. Now, we all know that real estate is related to, different rules regarding where located. So every state has different rules or regulations about real estate and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. But in regards to the letters, I have been writing letters to listing agents and the sellers. They're addressed to the sellers, not to the listing agents. And I've never heard of it not being, kosher in California. Nobody's told me not to do it, and they actually really have helped me. I've gotten many deals because of them, and as I mentioned, other buyers have, you know, um, have wanted to purchase a property and have offered more money. Yet we were the ones to get the property due to the letter, and the letter just explained why we wanted the property and what our future vision was for the property. So it was a multi-family, and we told the seller what we wanted to do, including some of the upgrades and the repairs that we wanted to make. So that's basically what the letter was about. So I would encourage you to check into the legalities of this in your state and see, if you can do it or not. But we have truly helped me and my husband in our real estate investment career.
Thank you, Linda. And Steph, long time no see. Your final thoughts to the discussion we're having this morning on debt service coverage ratio, underwriting your next real estate scenario.
Hey, Joe, nice to see you. Great room as always. I've got my clients utilize the DSCR. It's a phenomenal tool. I encourage everybody, agents and investors, both to get real acquainted with it. So this room is awesome. I just came up to back up Travis when a service put up that is for an agent who's licensed. It is a nationwide fair housing violation letter to present to the buffer. So that sucked. Back before I got licensed, when I was flipping, I wrote love letters on every property I offered on, but I just got rid of those because it's a fair housing violation.
Interesting. Interesting stuff. That's hey, listen, you know what? Everybody has their different tactics. Not everybody knows all the rules and regs. I'm so glad we have these. Yeah, I mean, listen, we're all giving our opinions, which is great. We're all great. We all play nice here and providing good real estate insight. I know every one of you here, and I want to thank everyone giving their insight. And not everybody's perfect in whatever they're coming across, but I think the objective of the Creative Birth Strategies House is providing good direction in the sense of strategy, understanding your real estate portfolio, understanding yourself as a real estate professional or service. And I think having these type of discussions sometimes here on our podcast and then offline is always great to kind of work things through. And that's why we have these different subjects every Saturday morning, every Sunday morning. But I do have an announcement. Next weekend is the next Saturday and Sunday combined events that we're having. We're no longer going to have Saturdays after next week. And Sundays, we're going to go to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and go from 9 to maybe 10:30. Just some of the conveniences and things that we're doing now and some of the events that I'm involved with. And we're going to do a little more one-on-ones. I got a lot of events coming up. We have a mastermind Monday night here in Philadelphia. No, not here, I'm in Boston right now, but in Philadelphia Monday night. We have a cigar event coming up right before Triple Play. We have holiday parties in Lehigh Valley and Philadelphia. If anybody's interested in coming and Facebook and get part of our email distribution so you can stay abreast of everything that's going on. I'm also, Steph, I'll be up in Rochester next Thursday. Yep, I'm going to the Rochester Trade Show, Rochester RIA Trade Show next Thursday. Not this Thursday, next Thursday. Is it 12th this Thursday? Yeah, so this Thursday. Yep, I'll text you on the way up. I'll be up there. So I'll be yeah, so I'm going to the trade show, so I'm excited about that. So I'm trying different venues. I'm calling in from the Boston, Massachusetts Convention Center at the NAR Expo. Very exciting. Thousands of real estate agents and service providers here this weekend. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank our sponsors. I would like to thank Linda Pelagas of Realty 411. I'd like to thank Mr. Gerald Perkins of Perkatech, providing insight and strategy for social media strategists for real estate professionals. I want to thank MD Capital, your referral partnership with my referral partnership with them, providing unsecured business lines of credit for investors nationwide. And then obviously I want to thank Lendmark, where I'm a senior loan analyst, providing asset-based lending nationwide at DSCR, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, multifamily, mixed use, and blanket loans and portfolio loans. And my quote this morning: your hard work will pay off. The right people will show up. Your dreams will come true. Everybody, please affirm yes. And everybody have a blessed Sunday morning. We'll be back here next Saturday morning, 8 a.m., and next Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Following that, every Sunday, 9 a.m., providing education, networking, and strategy. I'll be ending the room in the next 30 seconds. Thank you, and have a great Sunday.
Yes, Joe.